Ladies and gentlemen, you are tuned in to WPFW 89.3. This is Live at 5 with Josanne Francis. And wow, I'm just in awe. That was such an incredible piece. I believe that was Chico Chico
Yes,
no
that was
Fuba,
Chico Chico no Fuba.
by Pichinguinha, the Brazilian composer of choro music.
Yes.
Absolutely incredible. And I'm sitting here blessed to be in the presence of the one and only Miss Josanne Francis. She is born and raised in the Twin Island Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. She's an internationally known and recognized steelpan performer, music educator, and two-time guest here at WPFW. Actually, I think you came here an extra time on top of that.
Yes.
But now you can put that onto your resume as well,
Yes.
that you've been on Live at 5 now.
Live at 5.
So Josanne has performed at venues such as the Kennedy Center and Carnegie Hall and has appeared as a guest artist at festivals and universities across the United States, including the San Juan Conservatory of Music in San Juan, Puerto Rico, and the Caramoor Jazz Festival in New York. Josanne was recently one of the 6 artists in residence at Strathmore for the 2017-2018 season, and she currently serves as the artistic director of the Cultural Academy for Excellence. And in addition, her work as an educator is supplemented by her incredible program, Steel on Wheels. She does a lot for the community. She does a lot for music. She does a lot for promoting Caribbean culture and Caribbean music. And Josanne, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well, thank you. A lot better than I was last week.
Are you over your flu?
I am over the flu.
Yes, cool. So let's talk for a second about, before we get to the instrument you're playing, I want to kind of work from the general to the specific, and I want to start by talking about Trinidad. For someone who has no idea where Trinidad is, what Trinidad is, how Trinidad is, how would you describe? Give us the spark notes, the overview of Trinidad.
Trinidad is the best place in the world. So for those of you who don't know where Trinidad is geographically, it is in the Caribbean, very close to South America. We're actually really, really, really close to Venezuela. You could, on a very clear day, you can see the coast of Venezuela from one of the coasts in Trinidad. And even though we are so close to South America, we are English speakers. Trinidad has a very, very rich history in terms of the people who came, and it is reflected in the population today. If you see a group of Trinis, as we call ourselves, if you see a group of Trinis, you would not know where they were from based on what they look like, because we have such a diverse population. Of course, we have the African descendants who came during slavery, and post-slavery, we had Indian indentured laborers who came from India, and that make up the majority of our population. But of course, we have Chinese, people who came as indentured laborers as well, and who moved to Trinidad over time. And of course, we have the descendants of Europeans who came, Syrians, everybody is in Trinidad. And now we have a lot of Venezuelans in Trinidad as well. So it's a very, very diverse population in terms of what we look like. And we have the best food as such because we have the best of everything that's in Trinidad. We have a lot of curry, we have a lot of Creole food, and I think we have the best food in the world. Other people think so too, but I'm just saying.
It's pretty good. So it's a cultural melting pot with a really, really rich history. How does that affect the music?
So it is, I mean, you can, so Calypso music was born in Trinidad, and that is the music, that and reggae are the two types of music that people would associate with the Caribbean, reggae coming from Jamaica. Calypso music was born in Trinidad, but in addition to Calypso music, we have chutney music in Trinidad, which was influenced by the Indians, and a lot of it is sung in English, but also in Hindi. We have traditional Indian music as well, sung in Hindi. We have parang music, which is very popular this time around as we get ready for Christmas, and that is traditionally sung in Spanish. We just have a little bit of everything.
Yeah, it truly is a melting pot. I mean, and Indian culture and Indian people came over in the 19th century, unless I'm mistaken, as indentured servants
they
for the British?
In 1845.
Okay, so mid-19th
Yes.
century. Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, yeah.
I remember that date. Wow.
It just adds on to this cultural legacy and this rich melting pot that Trinidad really has to offer. And so when it comes to Calypso, when it comes to Calypso, what other influences, what is the cultural environment in which Calypso was born?
So Calypso was born in that whole idea of storytelling and also what we call picong, so making jokes about people. I think today the kids will call it roasting people.
It's always been around.
So Calypso was born out of that. So it tells a story. There's a lot of political commentary that goes on in Calypso and a lot of double entendres that go on as well.
I definitely think
I figured when I got older.
I think of Lord Kitchener.
Yes, Lord Kitchener, Sparrow.
Songs like Dr. Kitch. All you have to listen to are songs like Dr. Kitch. Look at the lyrics.
Dr. Kitch.
Tell me there's not something else going on there.
Yeah, and then Sparrow's Congo Man, and just so many songs I would sing as a child. And then when I got old, I was like, oh, okay, that's the other meaning to the song.
But there's political commentary. There's a funny side and a comedic side.
Exactly.
But there's also a political, and it's very biting sometimes, commentary on the post-colonial situation, right?
Yes. So yes, we do make it a little bit comedic, but it is still speaking of serious issues as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so getting back to the music, this next piece we're going to play. As a matter of fact, let's just play it, and then we can talk about it after.
Yeah, let's play.
How about that? I think we've done enough talking. So I will be accompanying, I didn't even say my name. My name is Joshua Jenkins, and I'll be accompanying Miss Francis on the piano. Please enjoy. Magnificent. And again, for listeners just joining us, you're tuned into WPFW 89.3. My name is Joshua Jenkins, and I'm sitting here with Ms. Josanne Francis, internationally recognized Trinidadian steelpan player.
That's
and
right.
Also, for people who missed last week, this is actually chapter 2 of our conversation. We were in the studio last week talking about the steelpan and about Calypso and about all these things we're talking about today. So this is just a continuation of the conversation we were having before.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on, let's talk about the steelpan itself. So how was it that people turned 55-gallon oil barrels into such a beautiful instrument capable of playing and interpreting all different styles of music?
Well, it just happened over time that it developed into what we would call the steelpan today. But the history goes back to slavery, and when we used African drums and hand drumming to communicate with each other. And after slavery ended, a lot of the freed Africans would be in the streets having celebrations and parades, and we would use drumming, of course. And eventually that was banned because the people in charge thought that there would be a big riot at some point. So after they banned the skinned drums, my people, Trinidadians, we love making music, so we had to find something else to make music with. And what we ended up doing was taking pieces of bamboo and cutting it to different lengths, and we would hit it on the floor, hit it on the sides with sticks, and you'll have all these different rhythms happening at the same time. And what we called that was tambu bamboo. And accompanying tambu bamboo, we would have stick fighting, which was more of a dance than a real fight. But because it looked like it was fight, tambu bamboo was eventually banned. And of course, we had to find something else to make music with. And at the
They were
time,
having too much fun during slavery. That's not allowed.
Not allowed. We can't have fun. So people would end up using trash cans, biscuit tins, anything. There was a lot of metal sounds that we would use, and we would hit on these metal items and parade in the street. And there came a time where there was a lot of discarded 55-gallon oil barrels. And even if they weren't discarded, they would be stolen. And but when they realized that as you continue hitting on these metal surfaces, they would become dented. And over time, these dents, they realized that each dent would have a different sound. So they deliberately started making dents in these drums. And they came up with just a few notes where they could play a simple melody. Then you eventually had your diatonic scale. And then fast forward some years, we have the 55-gallon oil barrel. You're able to fit a lot more notes on the same one surface. So now we have a fully chromatic instrument. And actually, the steel pan is regarded as the only fully chromatic and acoustic instrument to be invented in the 20th century.
The more I learn about the history of the slave trade and about the colonies that were part of it, the more I'm just absolutely in awe of the ability of people under those conditions to not only survive but to thrive.
Right.
To be so creative and to create this, something that we're talking about today, hundreds of years later. Right. I mean, it wasn't standardized until pretty recently, until the 20th century. But I mean, this was going on for a very, very long time, and not just in Trinidad. I studied Cuban music, and like when you were saying that just a second ago, it really made me think of clave and the story of how clave was formed. At least the story as I understand it is that they were the small sticks that they use today, the small wooden blocks. It's a pair of them that they use for clave. And I have been told that they were originally parts in shipbuilding. They were used as, I don't know how you describe it, I'm not a shipbuilding expert, but they were used as, I think, nailing pieces to kind of connect planks of wood. And so people took that and started using them. They realized, they have some resonance to them. We can use it in rumba. We can use it in son montuno. We can use it in all of our music that we're playing. And so they just took, it's not to diminish the beauty of what happened in Trinidad, but almost, I mean, in a way it enhances it because it's common to, it's not a unique story by itself. There's other places
Right.
where there was innovation like that.
Right.
It didn't happen the way it happened anywhere but Trinidad.
Right.
Like, because, you didn't end up with steel pan anywhere but Trinidad.
Exactly right.
But
right.
there was
the way that they're able to take something that could have been easily discarded
Exactly.
and make like such a beautiful sound, beautiful rhythms, beautiful music, and for it to last so long because we use it today and we're probably going to be using it forever.
And all the while living in a society or trying to survive in a society where you're not even recognized as a person, you're recognized as property.
People actually used to get arrested for playing pan.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? People used to get arrested for playing pan. And, I'm a woman who's playing pan now, but like back then, you would not find women doing it. No, you wouldn't find women playing pan. And then, like families, if I were a woman back then, I couldn't go back and tell my dad, "Oh, I'm dating this guy who plays pan." No.
So, as a pan player, is there that controversy when you go back home, or is it in any way looked down upon you playing it as a woman, or are you playing it at all?
No, I haven't had that type of experience, especially within my family. My family has always supported me with my decision to make music and play pan. But I've had people kind of diminish me in a way like, "Oh, you're going to study pan? What?
That's not a real instrument.
You're too bright. What are you going to do? Blah, blah, blah." I mean, and that's talking about music in general. But I mean, it's a legit instrument, and I've been in situations where I'm among other instrumentalists, and I am sort of looked down upon because I don't play a real instrument.
You're not taken seriously.
Not taken
It's
seriously.
seen as a novelty.
When in actuality, I could play my music and I could play their music and sound probably better than them.
Preach. No, so can we talk for a second about the song we just played? Savannah Grass by Kess. Can we talk a little bit about that?
Yes.
What kind of music it is? Is that Calypso?
That is Calypso. It's soca.
Okay, so what is this thing called soca?
So soca came from Calypso. Soca is more to get people. It's less of a storytelling type of music and more to get people to enjoy themselves and dance and move. Right. And this one was called Savannah Grass. It was a soca song from this year, 2019. And we're actually getting ready for Carnival 2020. So there's a whole set of new soca music that's coming out now. But I really like Savannah Grass because it speaks of like the people and the energy and the happiness that is around Carnival time in Trinidad, which is like the same as Mardi Gras, the way that the holiday came up. And the Queen's Park Savannah is a place in Trinidad. It actually used to be the largest roundabout in the world. It's just
what is it called?
It's called the Savannah, the Queen's Park Savannah.
Okay. And
that is where you have the big stage where you have a lot of the events happening Carnival time in Trinidad. And when you have Panorama, which is the steel band competition, Panorama finals happens at the Savannah. So people always say, we're going by the Savannah, we're going to the Savannah, the Savannah. That's what they're talking about, the Savannah. And it's just, when you hear the Savannah, you think Carnival. When you hear Carnival, you think the Savannah. Mm-hmm. And it's not just a place where it has events during Carnival time. Throughout the year, you can go to the Savannah like in the evening time, and there'll be a lot of local vendors selling food, craft stuff, a lot of different things. And also, as soon as Christmas is over, after we ate so much food, everybody starts running around the Savannah to exercise. So it's a big exercise spot as well.
Sounds like a great time. You mentioned Panorama, the festival. I think that's a good segue into the next song we're about to play, which is Panoramic.
Panoramic.
All the wordplay going on. Panoramic by Liam Teague. So we'll play this, and then we'll talk a little bit about this piece.
Yeah.
Cool. Oh, yeah. Incredible, incredible. Again, I'm joined here by Josanne Francis, steelpan player. My name is Joshua Jenkins, and I'm your host at today's Live at 5. Let's continue our conversation that we were having, and let's talk about the song we just played, Panoramic by Liam Teague. What can you tell us about this?
It is a beautiful piece. I can tell you a lot about Liam Teague. I actually studied with Liam Teague when I was doing my master's in steel pan performance. Yes, you can get a master's in steel pan performance. He teaches at Northern Illinois University. I know it's probably the most random place in the world to get a master's in steel pan. But he is an amazing composer, as you can tell, an amazing arranger, amazing teacher, and a very, very humble, great personality. So I've learned a lot from him in terms of composition, arranging, and just, how to carry about yourself as a professional musician.
Mm-hmm. Of course. How does steel pan fit into an ensemble? How does it vary playing it solo versus playing it as part of an ensemble? As a performer, how much does your experience change, and in what ways is it different? I mean, you're trying to blend with others.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've had quite a range of experiences with playing steel pan, and I try to put it in ensembles or situations that people will least expect. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, when they hear about steel pan, they think maybe like in a steel band, a band playing with other steel pan performers. But one of my greatest experiences is playing solo steel pan with Philharmonic Orchestra accompanying me.
Wow. What was it? Was it a concerto?
It was a concerto written for steel pan.
You know what? I've actually seen
it's on YouTube.
A steel pan concerto. I want to see the one that you played really, really badly now, but you're bringing back memories. I was at the Strathmore, I believe, and I saw, I don't remember the performer's name. Mm-hmm. I just remember being like, this is incredible. It was called, I believe it was called The Olympian, was the name of the concerto.
I'm not sure, but I'm not familiar with that one.
Okay.
But maybe.
But now I definitely want to see this one that you did.
So there's quite a few now, but like not growing up, but when I first started playing steel pan, when I wanted to play classical music, I would always have to look for transcriptions. Like when we first turned on air, I was playing a little bit of a violin concerto by Bach. But now we have a lot of repertoire written specifically for steel pan. So like I played a steel pan concerto that was written for steel pan, and
by who?
By Jan Bach. He is from Illinois. He actually wrote the concerto for Liam Teague when he was a student. So I had the opportunity to perform that at Northern Illinois University and at Carnegie Hall.
But don't get it wrong, steel pan can do it all.
Steel pan can do it all.
If you take anything away from this, understand that steel pan isn't just for Calypso. It's not just for Carnival. You can play Bach.
You can play Bach. You can play anything. You hear Brazilian show music. We play, like Victor Provis is an amazing jazz steel pan performer, and he can do so much more as well. I also have a duo with a Chinese dulcimer player, Chao Tian from China. Wow. And the name of that duo is Parallel Intersections. And the sounds of those two instruments coming together is just absolutely transcendent.
As much as I want to continue this conversation, I also have to make sure we get through as much of this music as we can. We don't want to starve the people of the great sound of the steel pan. So moving on, let's get to this next piece, which is called Chant.
Yes, it's another Liam Teague composition.
Thank you so much for listening. You're tuned into WPFW 89.3. My name is Joshua Jenkins. I'm here with Josanne Francis, the incredibly talented steel pan player from Trinidad. She's here with us for just a few more minutes in the studio. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about what you have coming up next. You got to tell the people, what are you doing? What projects do you have? What performances do you have? Everybody should be coming to see you. Everybody should be supporting you. So I want everybody to know.
Okay, so I have a couple of different projects going on. Of course, me as Josanne Francis, a performer. I have my duo, which I mentioned earlier, Parallel Intersections. You can follow us on Facebook. The name is Parallel Intersections. And my website, I usually post all my performances on there under the events tab. And my website is www.josannefrancis.com. You
should be writing this down. Get out a pencil.
I'm going to spell it for you.
Everybody write this down.
www.josannefrancis.com. So that's josannefrancis.com. And earlier on, Joshua mentioned that I'm also an educator. So I do a lot of work with the Cultural Academy for Excellence, which is a local group in Mount Rainier, Maryland. And we do have our holiday concert coming up on December 12th. That's in just a couple weeks. December 12th, Thursday, December 12th, at the Bowie Performing Arts Center on Annapolis Road in Bowie. And you can find some more information about that on the cafe website, www.cafeyouth.org, on the cafe Facebook page, Cultural Academy for Excellence. And I also have my own educational steel band program called Steel on Wheels. So if you are interested in having a steel band at your school, at your church, at your camp, or whatever have you, or even at work as an activity, it's a very good team building exercise, by the way. And you don't have instruments, I have Steel on Wheels. With Steel on Wheels, I bring all the instruments, I bring all the materials, all the equipment, the instructors. All you have to give me is a space to work with, and of course students to work with, whether they are kids or adults. And of course you have to pay me for my time there, but we can discuss that off air. And you can find more information about that on the Steel on Wheels website or on my own website as well.
Well, you can't say that she doesn't keep busy. Not only does she promote Trinidadian culture, not only does she promote Caribbean culture and the steel pan, which is definitely the unsung hero of instruments, but she also supports the community, and she gives back, and she helps the next generation of people coming up. And so that's what we're also all about here at WPFW. And so this has been just such a great experience having you here, and we hope that you come back soon.
Yes, thank you so much for having me.
I hope to play with you again soon.
Yes.
And we're going to close out with a Brazilian tune entitled Outra Vez.